Hello, I am A.M. Wood, a museum educator at the Dayton Art Institute. I will be your instructor in this video series, Retrofit, where we take modern day clothing and alter them into historical or fantastical costumes.
Supplies include a dress shirt or blouse, scarf or fabric, and a two-piece high-neck pantsuit. Sewing supplies include needle, thread, pins, elastic, scissors, lace, and seam ripper or sewing machine optional. To alter a jacket into a vest, first remove any existing shoulder pads. They will only be tacked in two small places on the pad itself and can be removed easily. To remove the sleeve, look for the stitching line where the sleeve connects with the jacket. Turn the garment inside out and you will find the serged area of stitching. If you take your seam ripper and use the bulbed end, you can slide the bulb against the fabric through the stitches and it will easily tear those stitches open, the ones that are zigzagged across. Once you have easily torn these stitches apart, you will find the thread that was holding them is easy to pull up, grab a hold of, and gather up more material, and it will open up your seam much more quickly. Any additional stitches can be picked and then pulled. Use this method to remove entire sleeve. Place the armhole or arm's eye that you have created under the sewing machine and put the presser foot down. Make sure to do a reverse or back stitch and then line up the edge of your fabric that is folded over with the inside of your presser foot. Continue sewing around arm's eye until all of the fabric that is folded over has been sewn down. You can also sew by hand or use iron-on hem tape for no-sew. To convert a vest front hem, take the bottom front corner when the vest is open and fold diagonally towards the back to form a triangle. We will then take some pins and we will pin it into place because we are going to hand sew this piece of the garment together. Pin it again so that the triangle that you have folded towards the back continues in a straight parallel line, and so that you have something double folded to pin it to. Get your needle and thread knotted on one end and then find an area where there is more than one layer to sew through. We are going to take a few stitches through, being careful to only go through the one layer of fabric so that it does not show on the front side of the fabric. When you are ready to tie off the knot, make an opening with your hand, grab your thread, and pull it down to the fabric. Put your hand through the opening again, pull your thread down. This will make a double knot for you, and when you pull your thread all the way through, your stitch is finished and you can cut it off. No worries, we plan to show you that again. Obviously now you could be using a thread of the same color, but for purposes of you being able to see what I'm doing, again, we are going through where there are double layers. That way our stitches are less in danger of showing through on the front side, and it's always a good idea to check it every couple stitches to make sure that you are indeed not going through to the other side of the fabric. Now this part is not close to the edge, so I'm doing a little bit of a back stitch, which is sort of like a stitch that just goes behind itself a little bit. When you get a little bit closer to where the edge of the triangle is and you are able to, you could do little stitches connecting the layers depending on what you can see and what is easiest. The whole idea is to just hold the triangle in place and for it to keep its shape as best as possible. So I promised I would show you this finishing stitch again. So when you go to do this finishing stitch, you are going to go ahead and take a stitch, and then you're going to hold onto your needle. Make an opening with your hand and pull just the thread through that opening until it's dragged down to the fabric. Do it once more And then this time, put your hand through the opening, grab the needle and the thread, and pull the entire thing through. It will drag your knot down to your fabric, and you can cut it off. I found this particular shirt with the attached scarf while shopping. However, it does not fit the individual that will be modeling for me today. So I went ahead and found this tuxedo style shirt, and that will be on my model, but I will steal this scarf for that shirt. Now, you are looking for this sort of triangular stand-up collar. If you do not have that, get just a regular dress shirt. You can stand up the collar and fold down that triangular bit and then just pin it and tack it in place. To add lace to the shirt cuff, fold over a little bit of the edge so you don't have a rough edge, and then match it up to the edge of the shirt cuff, making sure that you have the right side up. There's usually one side that the detail's a little finer, and then you're going to pin it underneath the right side up of the shirt cuff and the right side up of the lace, and then you're just going to match the edge up. Continue pinning all the way around the lace, and when you reach the edge, leave a little extra and trim off so that you have, again, a little bit to fold over and pin in nicely so that there isn't a rough edge and there's a little bit of overlap. When you are done pinning, notice that there is a seam line already on the cuff. This is the line we are going to be sewing directly on top of when we get it under our machine. Remember to remove your pins and to do a back stitch for safety, and then continue trying to keep your stitching right on top of that line so we're not adding any unnecessary additional lines. Again, just a reminder, your pins are just to hold things in place. You do not want to sew over them because it can jar your machine. And again, once you get to the end, do a back stitch and you are finished. Here is your lovely cuff. For knickers, choose elastic or flat front pants so long as they have volume or a little bit of room in them. If you have capris or pants about the same length as joggers, you can take the existing hem and make an opening so you can slide elastic through the channel that already exists. Pants will need to be hemmed a few inches below the knee. I have marked where on my actor, and you want to account for a little bit of extra fabric so that when you fold it over, you have room to make that same channel for your elastic to go through. So we are going to go ahead and cut these one leg at a time. I'm folding the pants right where I made my cut, my snip, and I'm going to go ahead and cut these across in a straight line. I am then going to take the piece I cut off and flip it over and use it as a matching panel so I know how much to cut off the secondary pair. You can double check that your legs are even by comparing their inner or outer seams. To hem the pants, open up the bottom of the leg and make a 1/4 inch fold, and then fold it again about an inch towards the inside of the leg of the fabric, and then go ahead and pin that. You are going to repeat this all the way around the leg of the garment. So 1/4 inch fold, and then about an inch fold again towards the inside or wrong side of the garment. Continue pinning all the way around bottom of leg. So line up the inside edge of the fold with the inside edge of the presser foot. Now traditionally you would sew this with the folded edge facing down, lining, and you could tell by feel where the inside edge is to line it up with the presser foot, but to show you we're going to do it upside down. Remember to backstitch and also remember to remove your pins. We're also going to leave a little channel opening so we have somewhere to put our elastic when we are through. And again, backstitch, remove pins, and when we get close to that final pin, we will pause because we want to make sure to leave that opening so we have somewhere to feed our elastic through. So get to your final pin, do a back stitch, and get ready for elastic. We need to feed our elastic through the channel we have sewn. To make it easier to feed, we are going to take a safety pin and put it through about a 1/2 inch from the top of the elastic so it can't tear out. And then we are going to put that into the hole in the channel. And then we are going to push on the end of our safety pin and bunch the fabric up towards our fingers, and then we are going to grab the head of the safety pin, let go of the elastic part, and pull that fabric back. So basically push the butt of the pin, gather the fabric, grab the head of the pin, release the fabric. That way we will be able to easily feed all of our elastic through our channel. When you see the head of your pin come through the end of the channel, pull it the rest of the way through. Gather up the elastic about as full as you think the leg will be while keeping your actor comfortable. You can tie off your elastic or cut it knowing you're going to sew it, whichever you prefer. If you are planning to sew the elastic, remove your safety pin. Try to line up the elastic so the edges are flat against each other so it's not twisted in the leg. And then you can line it up and attach a straight pin through the 2 pieces of elastic so it doesn't move while you're trying to sew it under the machine. I like to give a little bit of extra leeway on mine if I need to trim it or whatnot. And then I'm going to put it under my machine and sew it with a zigzag stitch. As your elastic is already pinned, if you need to, you can stretch a little more out of the casing, the channel we created, so that you have room to sew. Get it under your foot. Don't forget to back stitch. I'm using a zigzag stitch, but you could also use a stretch stitch. Remove it from your machine and then open up the pant leg to get it back into the channel. And voila, you're done. Thank you for making art with us today.
If you enjoy what you see here, be sure to visit our Learning Library online, which can be found on the digital resources page of our website, DaytonArtInstitute.org.